Well, if you're a Mumbaiker living in Mumbai but know very little about the Parsi culture, its history, then you will have answers to all of that in this museum, which is the FD Alpaiwalla Museum that was just opened on 27th March. This is the only museum in the city that talks about the Parsi culture, its history, the artifacts, how the Parsis came to Mumbai, and all of that sorts. And we will also try to understand what exactly this museum holds for us. Why should we come and visit this museum? We'll talk to Mr. Karman Fatakia, who's the curator of this FD Alpaiwalla Museum. Sir, first the history of this museum itself. This was open on 27th March, but I believe this was a restoration work and this museum already existed. Could you tell us a bit about that?
So the museum basically started off in the year 1950s. Okay, Mr. Faramji Dadabhai Alpaiwala, after whom the museum is named, had lots and lots of collections, so much so that he finally used to sleep in his kitchen for 5 years or 6 years of his life. Right. He had an 11-hall room, and which was full of the artifacts. So, according to his will, it was bequeathed to the Bombay Parsi Panchayat, who is the owner of this museum. And then later on, in the year 1950s, this place, what you are here rightly is called the Ranji Hall. So it was one of his executors of the will, Hormusji Ranji, who made this hall, and all his artifacts were bequeathed here.
Right. And if you could tell us what all now this museum will have, because we are seeing lovely pictures around. They are talking about the history and the migration of the Zoroastrians. They have come from Iran. But, not many people know how did it all begin and the entire history, the route they took, the culture they brought us to Mumbai and to India.
So basically the first hall which you see here, it talks about the whole history of the Parsis, their heritage which is still in Iran, and their heritage which is in India. Then
so also there's a migration.
Yeah, so there were two migration routes which Parsis followed. So the first migration is basically what you see here is the sea route from the Strait of Hormuz. So after the Arab persecution and the frequent Mongol attacks on the Iran, it was decided that it was better to leave the place and find some another new homeland where the religion could be saved. So even after 11 years of the fall of the Sassanid Empire, the Zoroastrians stayed in Iran, but finally from the port of Hormuz, they started sailing to India. So that was the first sea route which you see. Right. And the second migration route is from the land route which you see there. It is only during the later periods, as and when the monarchies changed, the persecution increased. So people felt that, it was much safer to move out and move towards India.
And if you could talk about the museum per se and the number of artifacts it holds right now, and what are those different artifacts that it holds?
Okay. So the museum has lots of artifacts dating from 5000 BC to almost 19th century artifacts. Okay. So the first case which you see at the entrance holds all the artifacts that are older than more than 4,000 to between 3,000 to 4,000 BCE. So in all this collection which you see here on this side of the display, the entrance basically was the collection of Jamshedji Manekji Unwala, who was also a priest. Basically, it depicts the house in the province of Yazd. Yazd in Iran today is basically a cluster where, most of the Parsi population is focused. So these are called as adobe homes, and the specialties are made of clay. And if you look upon the city of Yazd from the aerial view, you'll find this whole color spread throughout.
Okay.
So these are almost a kind of 2-3 story homes with a nice compound, a well, and the staircases going up. This is the dress which you see is called as a mekhnoo. So this is what a typical Parsi Irani Zoroastrians used to wear earlier.
This is historical.
Yes, and even today it is worn the same way.
Okay.
So it's a legacy that is still on. It's not something that is history. So we talk about shalwar. So this is basically the origins of the shalwar and kameez which we talk about.
Okay.
And there is one very interesting thing I would like to show here. If you look at the doors carefully, there are two different types of knobs.
Right.
So The round one is meant for a a female visitor, and the long one is meant for a male visitor.
Oh,
So,
why so?
So when a female knocks the door, the female host from the house goes and opens the door to receive her. When the male knocks the door, it is the male host who comes and welcomes the visitor.
So the sound is different
Yes.
for both the.
Yes.
Okay.
And this system is still prevalent in the province of Yes.
It's interesting. But what is also interesting is like, especially for the non-Parsis, the fire temple is something that, there's a lot of curiosity around fire temple. And I believe at the museum, you've also made a replica of fire temple.
There are two curious places in this museum which attract a lot of non-Parsi attention. One is the Dakhma, the Tower of Silence, which you see here. Okay, which is one of the most, I would say, a most mysterious thing which many non-Parsis feel. But what is a Dakhma? How does it look?
Okay.
And what is the practice? Why it is so?
Yes.
And the other one is the fire temple. Basically, fire temple is such that except for Parsis, no one is allowed.
Yeah.
And the plus point is what you see here is a sanctum sanctora.
Mm-hmm.
So the sanctum sanctora is a place where only priests are allowed.
Yes.
No layman can enter the sanctum sanctora area.
Yeah.
So that is why the need for putting it where people can inquisitively see what is inside, how we practice fire worship, and what is the unique features of this kind of a construction. So that is why only priest, and in Zoroastrianism, priest is lineage wise.
Right.
So it's if you're born in the family of priest, then only you're a privilege to be a priest.
Okay. Interesting. So here is a fire temple and
Actually, a replica
of fire.
outside of the Manekji Seth Fire Temple, which is in the fort area. If you walk down that area,
Right.
you will
Yes.
find this.
Yes.
And the inner sanctum sanctora, which you see, is the replica of the Anjuman Atash Behram, which was one of the first grade fires that was built by the public crowdsourcing money in those days. This other one is called as Anjuman. Anjuman means public.
Yeah. Okay.
So this was one of the big fire. We have 3 grades of fire temple. So Atash Behram, or the fire of victory, which we say, is the first grade of fire. So this Atash Behram was established from public money. So this sanctum sanctora carries the design of that Anjuman Atash Behram. Right here.
So you can see this, the replica of the fire temple. This is not the real fire temple, but it is a replica that is being made, especially for those non-Parsi visitors who are curious about the fire temple, because as we know that non-Parsis are not allowed inside a real fire temple. Sir, also want to understand that Parsis have a very great, good connection with Mumbai. They have a very strong connection with Mumbai. So can you tell us, like, at the museum, how are you honoring all those, important Parsi?
This particular room which you see is called as the Bombay room. It's a Bombay gallery.
Yeah.
So it's not only dedicated to the Parsis, but to all the communities who helped in building the cities.
Okay.
So the one which you see on this panel, this is our founder, Mr. FD Alpaiwala.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
This panel which you see is talking about the Parsi women, because the Parsi women were at the forefront of bringing out many social changes in Bombay at that point of time. It is with the money which their husbands earned, they could have led a luxurious life, but instead of that, they started putting that money into social welfare and human welfare.
Okay.
That is where we are honoring all these ladies who are from different fields of work.
Right.
These are
Similarly, you have like
the
the
Parsi
men.
merchants on Bombay. Like, this is not only what they earned, they gave back to the city.
Yes. So like you have your, Jamshedji Tata, then Dadabhai,
Jamshedji Jijibai.
Gigi Boy.
Jijibai's contribution was so immense that when he died, Bombay witnessed the first public, condolence meeting at the Asiatic Society of India, which is right now what we call as the town hall.
So you have like really interesting, the display here at the museum. Also, I'm curious about the timings of this museum. Like,
Timings of the museums are from 10:30 to 5:30,
yeah.
Monday to Saturday. Sundays we are closed. Okay. and it's free of cost. That's the best part.
Okay, and the kind of history and the information that you shared right now with us. So, if anyone wants to come in at the museum, there will be similarly people will be able to guide them, because we have some of it written here, but what you have just explained to us, it's quite.
I will be taking the guided tours. Yes.
So there will be guided tours as well.
Why not? Yes.
Okay, so that was about the FD Alpaiwalla Museum. It is the only, as I mentioned, the only museum in the city that talks about the Zoroastrian culture and how Parsis came to India, to Mumbai. And, if you want to visit this museum, it is located in Mumbai's Kharegat colony, and it will be open from 10 to 5:30. Am I right? Yes, 10 to 5:30. And anyone can visit. This is not only exclusively for the Parsis, it is for non-Parsis as well, and it is open here in Mumbai. This is me, Purva Chitnis, for ThePrint.